Go off. Go off. Go off. Go off.
Welcome everyone. This is The Scoop with Fari X. This is my afternoon show. I don't really do this often, but I wanted to do this. I wanted to bring on a special guest, metaphysician by the name of Shabazz. He is actually going to go into detail with us about esoteric science, Islam, indigenous and African cultures. This is something that I feel that a lot of our people should know more about. And there's a lot of our people who have no clue about the or this knowledge that one should know. So this is why he's actually going to be on the show, just so he can teach us these things. And some of us might already know about esoteric science. Some of us might already know, well, think we know all about Islam, think we know all about Africa, think we know all about the indigenous cultures, but there's always something you don't know. And it doesn't hurt to refresh your memory either. So there's going to be things that this man is going to tell us that we probably had no clue about. I watch him often, or I hear about him often through my king, and I was told how, smart he is. So then I sat down and I was just listening to him one day, just breaking down his science on, I believe the time that I heard him talking about was some type of indigenous culture he was talking about, and I think he was cooking something in his backyard, maybe he was on a barbecue or something like that. I'm not sure what he was doing, but he is very, very, very knowledgeable, and this man has a lot to offer and to bring to the table for our people. So I'm going to introduce y'all to Shabazz. Like I said, he is going to be speaking about esoteric sciences, Islam, Africa, and the indigenous cultures. Welcome, Shabazz, to the show. Here he go. Welcome. Peace.
How you doing? Peace.
I'm good. It was a little bit of we had a rough time getting you on, but you on now though.
Oh yeah. I just try to get it down, It's a lot of stuff like what you were saying with that esotericism, and I was listening to you talk to that Moorish brother last week too. And it was that stuff y'all man, it's just so much. It was that stuff y'all was talking about Jesus. And I was talking to this brother last night, and this is just what Elijah Muhammad taught, but it has to do with the Crusades, back during the 10th, 11th, 12th centuries. And they were saying that the real reason why the Vatican had started them Crusades over there was because that body of that man, who people know today is what they would call Jesus, but we know he got mixed up with a lot of Greek mythology and European people like Caesar Borgia and Ptolemy Soter, these Greek philosophers and Greek rulers or whatever like that, and these different Roman rulers. His ideologies got mixed up with them, and a lot of people draw that's from where it's straight coming from, is like what Jesus is. It's all based on something that just the Vatican and the Romans invented. But Elijah Muhammad had a degree that Farad gave him in Lost Found Lesson 1, which is basically the same lessons that the Nation of Gods and Earths essentially subscribe to. But it says that Jesus was buried in Jerusalem, but we know there ain't no J's in ancient Hebrew, Chaldee, or any type of ancient Semitic Mesopotamian languages like that. So I mean, some people like these different Black Hebrew groups or these different Black Jewish groups, they'll say Yahshua is more the proper name of that man, or Yahshua ben Pendera, or Yahshua ben Maryam. But this brother was telling me that was supposed to be, he was telling me last night, I was talking to him, and he was saying that he believed that Malcolm, all right, baby. He said that he believed that when Malcolm had went over there, he had seen that body. It was supposed to be under Mount Moriah in Jerusalem, where the Mosque of Omar is at, which is an Islamic mosque. And right now, today, I just watched a video on YouTube the other day, and these people, these European Jews, and a lot of people call them imposters, they supposed to be trying to tear that down and build what they would call a third Temple of Solomon there. You know what I'm saying? Because you got the biblical mythology, whether people take it as literal or they take it as a astronomical allegory, or they think it's just a bunch of bull crap. You know what I'm saying? I'm just elaborating on it. Whatever people want to believe after that, that's on them. You know what I'm saying? But I really believe that they might have something down there up under that Dome of the Rock, and I was thinking that it was the body of that man up under there. And I'm not saying that Jesus is some type of stuff like what the Christians talk about, but I mean, that's what every mythological god or deity, and like Jesus and the whole Christian mythology, it's not no different than Greek mythology or ancient Egyptian myths and allegories and stuff like that. Like even Osiris, these people were actually real people that existed at one point, and there were certain characteristics about these people that were looked up to by the general population of the people that they were teaching at that time. And then after they died, they made a bunch of supernatural, you know, myths and different things like that centering around these characters, like Osiris, for example. You know what I'm saying? Or even these Greek gods or whatever like that. You know, there's a lot of references for that from different actual scholars, you know what I'm saying, in this type of stuff. Europeans and original people, or Africans or blacks or whatever social, you know, identity people want to subscribe to, Moors or whatever. But my general thing is like, I really think that there might have been some type of body of this philosopher, and that they have buried it up under there, like Elijah Muhammad is saying. But that's just me. And this man that people commonly know as Jesus, his body is up under that Dome of the Rock. And see, what they were saying is that he was mummified, basically, like how they was mummifying these pharaohs or whatever, but they had put him, they used some type of chemical to mummify him. This is just what Elijah Muhammad teach, that he was taught by Farad, and that was supposed to be what really started the Crusades right there. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to bring that up, because that was yeah, that brother, he acted like he really didn't have an answer for it, but I just wanted to build on that right there. You know what I'm saying? That, and his brother was saying that he thinks that's one of the reasons, that he thinks that's might be one of the reasons why Malcolm X got knocked off too, is because he had seen that body. You know what I'm saying? And they got a history of hiding a lot of things and a lot of information at the Vatican. You know what I'm saying? And see,
so you think they?
I was gonna say too, is I've been. Go ahead.
I was gonna say. So you think Malcolm X
Go
possibly seen that body? You think he might have seen that tomb?
Yeah, when he was talking about, he was going over there to, because he went to them different sites in the Holy Land, and see under at the Mosque of Omar in Jerusalem is where Mount Moriah is at, and they say that's where King Solomon's temple used to be at. And like we all know about the Shriners, you know what I'm saying, the 5%ers, Nation of Islam, the Moors know what I'm talking about, people that's on that scene. Your husband knows what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? You know the Shriners and they little Islamic symbolism and the building of King Solomon's temple and Freemasonry, all that type of stuff with the master builder that gets killed. And you know where the Mosque of Omar is at is where that King Solomon's temple used to be at in Jerusalem, and that's what the theme is based around. You know what I'm saying? And like this guy J. Edgar Hoover is a Shriner. And like I got to really studying up on that. And I mean, I know these people, I mean, these white Christian religions or whatever like that, but what these people are doing, like Joseph Smith with this Mormon church, is he's taking what we would call this indigenous knowledge. He took Quetzalcoatl, the black crucified god in Mayan and Aztec mythology, and like the Popol Vuh, which is the scriptures of these different indigenous Indian tribes around Central South America. And he took it and talking about this blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus popped up. He got this Book of Mormon I got back here in my library, and he got a blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus standing around some mongoloid-looking Indians. You know what I'm saying? So they take it, they whitewash it a little bit. But this guy Joseph Smith was supposed to got killed by some Freemasons. And see, he had married a woman. And see, I just did a video on this not too long ago. He had married a woman who was a husband of a guy named Captain Morgan, Captain William Morgan, like that rum, Captain Morgan's rum. And this guy right here was supposed to got killed by the Masons up there around the New York area too. And so what I'm seeing is from them, what they teaching, what they was teaching and what they would call the 120 lessons is revealing a bunch of esotericism from around the eastern parts of the world in symbolic form is what those lessons that Farad and Elijah composed was essentially teaching. Not just them, Noble Drew Ali with his Moorish Quran Circle 7 was a bunch of Eastern mysticism, you know what I'm saying, that was broke down in these little lessons and pamphlets like that. And I just really, from what I'm seeing and what my studies are leading me to, I really believe that that stuff was making these Europeans in these esoteric groups was making them uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's just because it's time. They know it's time for Africans or original Asiatic black men and women to get back their knowledge. And I really just think they don't want to give it back.
Right, right.
That's what I'm seeing. They just don't, they don't want to give it back.
Mm-hmm. They actually, you know, they know what we have. They know what we have, and that's why they're trying to harbor it the way they are. That's all it is. That's all that is right there with them Europeans, those Caucasian Europeans.
Yeah,
so you're right.
Really do. I really feel like when I started noting, I was like, man, yeah, there's a whole string of, that's why, like, I watched that documentary, and it's like I say, and I don't respect that, and like, I talk to your husband, and like, I respect people's standpoint, people that don't like excessively glorify our past leaders to the point where they like damn their personality worshiping. And I'm talking about, like, I got all respect for Marcus Garvey. I got respect for Noble Drew Ali. I respect Elijah Muhammad. I respect what them men did. But like his standpoint, what he said, I agree with that. That people shouldn't go to the point where they like damn near worshiping these people like another Jesus or something. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, all we can do is depend on ourselves to uplift ourselves. I respect the good that them men did, but they are human beings. And every human being does things and they make mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of our people are good for that.
I agree with that standpoint.
Yeah, a lot of our people are good for that. They get rid of one idol and they replace it with something else. You know, they feel like because they're not worshiping Jesus no more, it's okay to worship another man outside of self. You know, when you are the governor of yourself, no one else is governing you but you. You know, but a lot of our people have a problem with understanding that in the correlation of that there, and they rather, you know, turn to someone else for that strength, that motivation, that inspiration, and so forth, when it's all within. You know, of course you can be inspired and motivated by someone else, but you shouldn't idolize that other person. You know, and that's what a lot of our people do. A lot of them idolize certain people. Like you said, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, you know, and etc. You know, and they turn them into their gods. But you're the only God. You are your own God, and you got to learn how to love self and look within for those type of things. And especially when certain things are brought out about certain leaders of ours, you know, that are true but are negative, they don't like to admit to those things either. You know, they kind of want to push those to the side, you know, when they're hearing certain things about people, just like those who worship, like you said, Jesus, and they find out, he done disappeared, y'all. I guess he'll be back on. But like I was saying to him, like those who worship Jesus, you know, they find out the truth about Jesus, and even though it's the truth, they still want to push it off, you know, because they love Jesus so much, and they don't want to they don't want to let it go. And that's a serious problem with our people. They have a hard time with letting go of things. I think he's back in. 1 second, y'all.
I'm back.
All right, I got you back in.
I pulled my Wi-Fi box over here close, so it picked.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, I was just continuing what we were saying. Yeah, I got you. I got you. But I was just
I
telling
wouldn't
them
go
that
out
our people have a hard time with letting go
yeah,
of certain idols and
I
so
over here,
forth.
mommy. Now you can hear me.
Yes, yes, we hear you. We hear you. We hear you. But you know what? So how long have you been on this journey that you're on right now? You can't hear me?
Need that? You got the sound?
Mm-hmm. I can hear you.
Put the sound back on. Yeah.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me, Seven? Adjust your settings again because your sound is off. We went through this when he first was coming on, y'all. His settings was a little off and
I
he
can't
wasn't
hear
able
you.
to hear. Check your settings again. One second, everyone. 1 second. Okay, so I just told him to check his sound setting. This happened already before where it was just kind of off. That's what took us a while to get on live because he wasn't able to hear correctly out of his headset.
You can hear me now?
We can all hear you.
I'm
We can
talking.
all
I
hear you.
can't hear you. That's the only thing.
I need you all to comment and let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? One second. Can you all hear me? Are you able to hear him? All right. Are you fixing your set? I think he's fixing the setting right now. That's what it looks like, you all. But again, those who are just now tuning in, like I said, this
Yeah,
is Seven
I got you
Shabazz.
now. I got you on now.
Okay. For those who are just now tuning in, this is Seven Shabazz. He's a
Yeah, I got you.
metaphysician.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. He studies esoteric science, Islam, African indigenous cultures. This is what we're talking about right now. We was just in the process of talking about those who idolize one deity or thing and then they replace it with a human being and idolize them as if they are their god and so forth. But his sound and everything kind of started messing up and he had to fix that. So yes. But everyone can hear you too. They can hear us both. We're getting comments. They said they can hear us both.
Yeah,
So you can
yeah, I got
continue.
it back on. Yeah, I had to move. I moved my Wi-Fi box closer because it said on this thing it'd be good if I was close to my Wi-Fi box, so it won't go out again. But yeah, it's like I say, and then like to be honest, it's like a lot of that stuff is symbolic, and like I be seeing a lot of people like I be seeing this stuff, and like you got the Israel. I don't want to just speak on everybody like that. I mean, but I'm just stating my views and opinions. So I'm gonna say automatically it's a disclaimer. I'm not speaking for any of these organizations or speaking for any of their leadership when I say this stuff. But yeah, it's like what you were saying just now. Like I believe that, like them people, we can't just like we can use what they taught and use their wisdom and use the precepts of their wisdom. Elijah Muhammad, Noble Jew Ali, Master Farad Muhammad, or whoever, Marcus Garvey, and build upon it. But like I see a lot of things too, and it be like I see like Hebrew Israelites and the Kemetic community of people who study Egyptian stuff, and it's like they be plexed up what's more pure, the Bible or these Egyptian scrolls. And one thing I can say, well, I'm gonna give the Kemetic community or people into Egyptology, so-called Egyptology, the benefit is, yeah, they do got a lot of stuff that's more preserved and intact, as in they actually had physical corpses, you know what I'm saying? And they got stone monuments. But my thing is what I'm noticing like on a real esoteric basis, is like you go over there to Britain, they got the British Museum, they got all these Egyptian relics all hijacked, put up in there. They done went down there and looted all that stuff with the French way back in the early 1800s. And then these people got that warehouse over there with that damn gold. You can Google this, and they got the Queen of England walking through this damn warehouse, and got Rothschilds over there taking inventory on these gold blocks that these people got. But when it comes to the ideologies and the philosophies behind it, what they got over there is that Grand Lodge of England, the Masonic Grand Lodge of England. And it's like, yeah, it's Europeanized. And I'm not telling people, me, myself, I'm not telling people to go get involved with these secret societies. I don't really feel like there ain't no more real secrets, too much no more, unless people just want to be cognitively dissonant and don't want to realize what it is, because all the secrets are out. Them people, they really don't got too many more secrets anymore. You know what I'm saying? Nothing you can't go do your research and find what these people really represent. But like something like the Kabbalah, like the way the Kabbalah tree of life is broke down, and the way that whole ideology is broke down in the Jewish Kabbalah system, it coincides with what they would call, like, they got the stuff called the Pop Neteru tree of life, and they got the Anid with the deities coming out of the body of our tomb. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing as the manifestation of what you would call the Sephiroth of the Kabbalah tree of life. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way it's set up. It's set up like the hierarchies of the Masonic degree system. So when I'm reading something like Hebrew Chaldee or reading something like the Bible, to me, like the Bible and them different Sumerian scrolls and the Hebrew Chaldee alphabet and stuff like that, when you really look at it, and then you look at like the basics of the Medu Neter or the Egyptian hieroglyphs, the letters, there's certain things that coincide with the principles of what's being taught in the Kabbalah as what was taught in Ancient Kemet. But it's like the Bible has keys to it. Like in Acts 7:22, it say that Moses was learning all the wisdom of ancient Egypt. The books that to the Christian or the Jew subscribe to, they're going to say what Moses revealed was the first 5 books of the Bible. And with what he also revealed was what they call the Kabbalah. And then you got like these Jews, like I say, what I see too is a lot of these European people, like the Jews, for example, they going to throw a cloud up to conceal an esoteric doctrine like the Kabbalah. They're going to go to talking about stuff like out the Talmud, talking about black people curse of Ham, all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. The Mormons teach it too. Like I say, the Mormons got a curse of Ham myth that they teach. And it's just, I really, what I'm seeing in all that esotericism, like I say, is I really think that Kabbalah is a real high key to a lot of interpreting a lot of that stuff. Like even like you read G.M. James' Stolen Legacy, it talks about that the Egyptian hieroglyphs had mathematical and geometrical variations to how they would interpret the different hieratic and demonic and the different hieroglyphs of Ancient Kemet in their language that they spoke. You know what I'm saying? And I see the same thing in it's in the Kabbalah. They call it gematria. You see what I'm saying? Gematria, like geometria. Geometria, Greek for geometry. Geo means earth, metria means measure. So then like you could go like look at the great year cycle, the Platonic year cycle, the 12 signs of the zodiac. It takes the solar system approximately 25,000 years, 25,820 years to rotate through all 12 signs of the zodiac. Like Farah said, you make Quran or Bible equal to the circumference of your home, a year to every mile. We measure history, Quran or Bible, every 25,000 years in advance. And that's the same thing with Islam. Like a lot of these Semitic religions and these holy books of these Semitic or so-called Abrahamic religions, Torah, Bible, Quran, that's like Quran, Ka-Ra-an. You know what I'm saying? A Ka, the spirit, the bird with the man head. You know what I'm saying? Ra, the solar nature, solar deity, On, which is another symbol, another name for Heliopolis, a biblical name for Heliopolis. Matter of fact, Quran, Quran. So what I'm saying, that's like they be saying, practice the Sunnah of the Prophet. The Sunnah of the Prophets, the basic outline of precepts that the Muslims practice. Okay, that's like Sunnu, Sunnu, and Medunetter Sunnu. SU, like it's transliterated in English letters, SUNU. Sunu is a physician in ancient Egypt. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's a lot of parallels. So like I'm really the type person, I'm like this. I look for the connections between these different religious ideologies, and I take esoteric principles up out of them. But what I see a lot of people doing, and what I feel like is differentiating what I'm saying, is I don't have to sit up and bash something. You know what I'm saying? I'll read the Bible and I can draw the esoteric principles out of the Bible, and I ain't gotta bash the Bible. And yeah, it got some bull crap up in there. You know what I'm saying? But I really feel like what a lot of these esoterics say, a lot of that bull crap that is in the Bible, that was done like that on purpose to throw people off. So I'm saying what these folks actually know, because these folks do got some keys. You know what I'm saying? Like them Jews, they got some keys to some esotericism, and that Kabbalah, you know, like basically they using numbers, and they using numbers and numbers at a certain time, at a certain day. They'll calculate the certain positions of the planet, certain positions of the zodiac, using mathematical calculations for certain times a day before they carry out certain actions to make sure what they do goes through all the way. So what I'm saying, and that's even like they holy books, like I say, the basis of a lot of these Semitic holy books. Okay, that's like Abraham and them. They was Chaldeans. Israelites are Chaldeans. They come from the land of Chaldea, where that city called Ur is at. That Mesopotamian Middle Eastern area right there. That's what them Chaldean people was real big on, was astronomy. That's part of where some of the knowledge that the Greeks got it from was from them too. You know what I'm saying? And like, so when that's like the Quran. Quran got 28 letters in the classic Arabic alphabet used to write the Quran. That's the 28 days in a lunar month. You know, man, I was reading my Quran this morning, and it was talking about Moses, and it's talking about Moses telling them to sacrifice a heifer or a cow or a bakara in Arabic. And then it was talking about that. And then it says right after that, Allah gives death and life. And it's like when I'm reading that, I'm thinking about the Apis bull of Ancient Kemet. And the Apis bull was one of the animal theophany manifestations of Osiris. And Osiris was a nature or a deity that represented death and resurrection. And then right after that, in that same verse, it says, and Allah knows all things. One knows all things besides the all-seeing eye. You know what I'm saying? So I guess it's just, I guess people understand that stuff depending on their own inner spiritual understanding. You know what I'm saying? The spiritual allegories and symbols. But I mean, that's really what I see when I see a lot of that stuff. That's what I'm looking at. Even like Salat and the Muslim prayer, the Orthodox Muslims, has a bunch of, it coincides with the different positions of yoga. And all them different positions of yoga, you can find all them on ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. You can find Egyptian hieroglyphs of them prostrating and doing all that. And like, it's just, it's a lot of stuff. But I really, like I say, I really feel like that Kabbalah has a lot of keys to get drawing a lot of the esoteric principles out of what the Egyptian mysteries taught. You know what I'm saying? Like the 10 Sephiroth, for example, coinciding with it coincides with the zodiac signs and the planetary forces. and the 10 Sephiroth of the Kabbalah that make up the tree of life. And that's like the 10 bodily fetters or chains of the flesh of the ancient Egyptian mysteries. So when you're releasing yourself from the 10 bodily fetters, you're releasing yourself of letting each one of those levels of planetary and zodiacal energies have control and domination and influence over your subconscious and your conscious behaviors, because in ancient times they understood that the planetary forces was responsible for influencing individuals' thoughts and behaviors and chains of events on planet Earth. So what I'm saying, so when they're releasing themselves from that, they're learning how to control, they're learning certain things about each one of them zodiac signs and learning how to control the positions and calculations of them zodiac signs instead of them zodiac signs and them planetary energies having control over them. And that's why they was practicing like meditation, concentration, meditation, and fasting, because like fasting, that's like you starve yourself, you die. So what I'm saying, when you practice concentration meditation, you're slowing down your conscious mind, you're slowing down your ego and letting your subconscious mind open up. That's like they say, sleep is the cousin of death. Okay, well, when you asleep, you're operating within the realm of your subconscious mind. So that's the symbolic realm of Duat. That's like you go into that. That's like how they talk about they had outside the pyramid walls, know thyself, and you go up inside the Egyptian pyramid. But like these regular European British folks, they're gonna be like, well, the pyramid was just a tomb where they kept the mummies at. But we know after doing some studying into it, it's a little bit more than that. That's where they was holding their mystery school rituals at. You know what I'm saying? So they went into the tomb of death to hold their ritual, because death is the beginning of life to them. Because once they go in there, they starting a new life, coming into a new higher education of life and a new understanding of life. And like I say, them certain esoteric practices, like what's been carried on in the modern yoga or Zen Buddhism and certain aspects of Islam, concentration meditation and things like that, like I say, and fasting, like I say, you taming your desires, you're taming your emotions to where you can give way to your higher self and give way to an expression of your higher self through concentration meditation, opening up your subconscious through fasting. Because like I hear a lot of Muslims say, well, if you can go without food, if you can control your hunger appetite, you can control any of your appetites. You know what I'm saying? And it's stuff like that. It's a mystical, like it's Ramadan right now for the Orthodox Muslim world.
Let me,
you know
real
what
quick.
I'm saying? And they do it in accordance with the lunar cycle. And to add on to what I was saying, in Ancient Kemet, in one aspect, the moon and the phases of the moon was a symbol of the soul of Osiris. So what I'm saying, it had to do with agriculture and vegetation, which was part of what Osiris was a deity of. So it's things like that I'll be looking into. You know, I try to draw something inspirational up out of it.
7. So what you know what I want you to do right now, because there's something that we should have did from the beginning when you came on. There are viewers right now and listeners that are watching this show. Can you break down real quick what exactly is esoteric science, or what does it mean to be esoteric? Because there are people who don't understand what esoteric means.
Well, that kind of goes along to a certain extent what I was just saying, but to focus in on what you're talking about, the difference between exoteric and esoteric. And it's been like this since ancient times, and they say it's all the way up to like this till right now today. You got a lot of mystics that'll say the same thing, is that in ancient times, like let's go to ancient Egypt, or a lot of them tribal African cultures in Africa. Let's focus on Africa for a minute. In them civilizations, they would have priesthoods. You know, they had a pharaoh or the king, and they had a priesthood. and they would have what you would call public worship. And these
Mm-hmm.
people would go out there to this temple, and they would have a statue of this deity or whatever like that, and they would make certain food offerings or whatever type of ritualistic offerings to that deity. Now, esoteric was a shadow group or a shadow school that was not open to the general public, but it was for a select few people who was chosen and handpicked to go into that school and get a certain form of knowledge that was not generally given to the general public, and it was a more advanced and higher education regarding the true nature of these different deities that they have worshipped in their native land. Like in ancient Egypt, they was given a more higher education and a higher understanding of that. They was taught to read certain hieroglyphs that were unknown to the masses. They were taught certain scientific principles that coincide with our modern scientific studies like physics and chemistry and different things like that, and how it would relate, because a lot of these deities personified the same things that was on such things like the periodic table of elements and whatnot like that. A lot of these deities pretty much symbolize the elements of nature. See what I'm saying? But at the root of those elements of nature, like in physics, you would have the unified field where you would have some type of supreme deity in these ancient religions, like Atum Ra, for example, you know, in ancient Egypt. And it was the same thing in other different tribal areas. You would have the priesthood, and they would have certain esoteric practices that they passed down amongst each other. And then you would have another form of worship that was a more simplified and simply broke down form of worship for the general populace of people. You know what I'm saying? And that's even like going back to what okay, that's like what it's going back and tying that in with like Noble Drew Ali. It was talking about that for a long time that these lessons were hidden from the world, and then Allah loosened the keys so these lessons could be passed out to the people. Let's say that at the front of that pamphlet on that Moorish Circle 7. Or Farad coming, he was talking about that he was revealing the 66 trillion year secret knowledge of God that was kept secret inside the circle of 12 divine scientists, higher scientists or major scientists, which is the secret that that God is within self, that the black man is God, basically, and that they've searched for this mystery God for trillions of years and was unable to find it, so they have agreed there's no God but the Son of Man. But that's pretty much what it was for, is there was two different sections of worship in ancient civilizations. There was one for a select group of people who was handpicked and chosen to enter those mystery schools and to learn, and some of them would come and petition to become part of those mystery schools, and they would have to meet certain moral and citizenship criteria to be able to enter into them sanctuaries to get that higher form of education. But like I say, they would have the exoteric, like I say, would be more what's for the general populace of people. And that's even like today. And that's when you come up to right now, today in 2020, or in this time era that we in the 21st century, wait, we still got people out here, man, they black as midnight and up there, praise.
Oh goodness. He done knocked the Wi-Fi box out again. When he started praising Jesus, see what I'm saying? They don't want him to tell the truth. They just knocked him out when he's talking about them praising Jesus. So he'll be right back on. And as y'all see, this man is very, very knowledgeable, and he definitely knows what he's talking about as far as esotericism. Oh, here he is right here. As far as being as far as esoteric and exoteric go.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, you started praising Jesus, and you know knocked the whole thing out. Like it was a wrap from there. Like it was a wrap.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey,
You
we
know,
getting into it. Hey, nah, yeah. But like I say, and it ain't just with the Christian world, like what I'm saying. You know, they with that stuff, like I say, with Jesus. You know, you got people right now today, our own people. I'm talking about speaking for you know, the black, what they call so-called black community. You know what I'm saying? You got people out here, they deaf, dumb, and blind to knowledge of self. You got people out here, you know, and to each his own. People, it's your life, it's your choices. Live your life how you want to. I ain't nobody's daddy, and I'm not here to hold nobody's hand. But you got people out here that live what they would call they don't live a civilized life. You know what I'm saying? And they live a fast life. You got people out here that still worshiping these spookism, mystery god concepts, even in Islam. You got the religion of Islam, I say Sunniism or Wahhabism or these different broke down sectarian schools of Islam. You got people that ritualistically, out of fear and fear the unknown, worship a spookism religion. You know what I'm saying? But then you got certain people who are broken through and they got a higher understanding of these spiritual concepts. They got, like I say, a lot of people, they'll sit up and talk about the Bible all day, but have never heard of the Kabbalah in their life, not knowing that that's like the key secret knowledge and esotericism of the Bible that these Jews keep hidden in the back of that, in the back podium of their synagogues. You know what I'm saying? And it's certain things like, I mean, it's still going on today. You got these Masons. They go in their Masonic lodge. They got a certain Europeanized, diluted form of esotericism that's based, you know, how Ramabir, for example, in the building of King Solomon's temple, based on the Osiris ritual and the death and resurrection Osiris ritual in the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, getting raised up by the Lions Paws, getting raised up by the Solar Neturette Sekhmet of Ancient Kemet. You know what I'm saying? And they practice that in their Masonic laws, but then when they go back to the people, they don't tell them nothing about what they got going. They might have some more stuff going on. They don't tell nobody about what they got going on. And then they go to church on Sunday and got people up in there worshiping, you know, blonde, praise Jesus, blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of stuff is still kind of like that today. It's just as time has evolved and society's evolved and technology's evolved, it's still the basic essence of how it was then, but the way it's manifesting is in a different form. And really, I believe that part of the social engineering that European colonialism has done, that they've done it like that too on purpose. So I'm saying they've done what they can to put the black man to sleep, and quote unquote, like Mr. Muhammad would say, you know, and that's kind of how I break down the difference between exoteric and esoteric knowledge. And like I was talking about with like what this brother's talking about with the Moors, and it's like, okay, well, you got the Moorish Science Temple, you got these Moorish temples, and then you got the Adept Chamber, that the Noble Drew Ali's Adept Chamber of the Moorish Science Temple that contained esoteric knowledge and was breaking down understanding of the different aspects of what the Moors was teaching, or what Noble Drew Ali himself was teaching back then. You know what I'm saying? Even Elijah Muhammad, I'm pretty sure Elijah Muhammad had certain things that he told Muhammad Ali, he told Malcolm X, he told Farrakhan, and a few other people, but he didn't tell everybody. Just like they say Farad taught him some stuff behind closed doors that Farad wasn't teaching to anybody else. So what I'm saying, and that's what I mean, the difference between exoteric and esoteric from various aspects, my understanding.
That was a great breakdown. That really was. It was very much understandable, you know. So I understood what you said. I'm pretty sure that the youth, the teenagers and so forth that are watching this, they understood too, you know, because I have a following from the ages of, I would say, maybe 13 and above on social media from what my statistics show, you know. So that was a good breakdown, and from there people can actually go and do their own research on what you're talking about as well. So I appreciate that breakdown, brother. um what I want to know, because I didn't get a chance to ask you, what brought you to this place that you're at right now with all this knowledge and the understanding that you have? What led you here?
Oh man, you know, I'm like, growing up down here in Texas, and I mean, I know a lot of people see it. I mean, there's a lot of racism down here in Texas. Even in the inner city areas, there's a lot of racism manifest. So I've dealt, you know, me, I'm a light-skinned brother, but growing up and even right now today, like not 95% of my friends are quote unquote what in common terms black people. So I'm saying, and so I really that's who I ride with, that's who I go with, you know,
Mm-hmm.
on it matters, you know what I'm saying? And that's the type of that I pretty much lean more towards growing up in. And I really I got I'll say just I'm trying to find a starting point because it was just various elements of growing up in life, seeing certain things. But around 2005, I got introduced to Islam, and I studied into it a little bit. And then like I had some family, they was Jehovah's Witnesses. So I was studying that Watchtower theology and stuff like that. But I always just had a hunger for trying to understand the Bible at first. And then as I got to reading about the Bible, and then, like I say, I got introduced to Islam a little bit later on after I was into that Watchtower theology. So I started switching and reading the Quran. And I'm trying to really see where I really first started breaking through. I did some time. A brother had gave me a book that was an encyclopedia of ancient Egypt. And I got to reading that book, and I noticed that a lot of things that I was reading in these Egyptian mythologies was damn near the same thing that I was reading in the Bible. Like I read about, and I'm like, this sounds like some stuff out the Bible. You know, I was reading
Mm-hmm.
different little sections or whatever like that, and I was like, it sounds like some stuff out of the Quran. And then I met a few Masons over time, people who was claiming they was Masons and stuff like that. And I just really started trying to see what these people were talking about in these secret societies. So I started reading a lot of that Freemasonry, and I don't know, it was just something just guided me to all that stuff. It was just something just I just started putting everything together piece by
Mm-hmm.
piece. And then like I met some from the NOI, and I started studying with them in their study groups. I met some 5%ers from Fort Worth and started studying with them. And that's when I really started breaking through, because when I was studying that Orthodoxism, I remember I read that book, God's Earth in the 85ers by Penn Black. And I was seeing this stuff about there is no mystery God. And they say, well, we believe that the black man's God, arm, leg, arm, hand. I'm like, I ain't never heard nobody say something like that about Allah, because I was getting that spooked out. But
Mm-hmm.
I was getting the formless spirit idea of Allah like Sunnis teach. And it just started, and like I read that book by Penn Black, that God's Earths and the 85ers. I recommend anybody who interested in learning just a good, quick, simple, to the point, what the Nation of Gods and Earths teach that's accurate, go read that book right there. It's nothing but about 87 pages, too, 90 pages. But that book right there really started opening up my eyes right there when I read that book. And then I went and got like some Masonic dictionaries and stuff like that. And I just started.
And which book was
going
that,
through
Kay? So I can put that in here.
God's Earths and the 85ers by Penn Black, and it has a woman.
Penn Black. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, holding the planet Earth on her back, and it has the universal flag of the Nation of Gods and Earths in the center of that planet Earth. But that book right there, that was a book that really had me breaking through. And like I was telling y'all about that stuff with the mystery schools and Moses, he talks about all that in that book right there. Penn Black, he goes into all that, and he shows how he goes along with the quote unquote 120 lessons, you know, and that's really how, like, I agree with that book right there. I like that book, but that's the book that really had me breaking through right there. That as far as that, because I wasn't getting nothing but a spooky idea of Allah when I was studying under Sunni Islam, and then I started. I bumped heads with a lot of them Orthodox brothers, because they'd be like, they'd say that, you know, I just, it's like once you learn Arabic, I mean, and then you get to even studying in these esoteric schools of Islam, like Sufism. Like Sufism teaches that Allah and his throne is within your heart. And that's like, the Nation of God's Nurse, they'll say love is the highest elevation of understanding, where your heart is where the throne of Allah dwells, according to Sufism. But in the Quran, the heart is your faculty of intelligence. Your faculty of mind is within the inner recesses of your heart. And you know, the heart is the gateway between the higher chakras and the lower chakras. And so when the thing about that's why I say, like, even in Sufism, they teach the concept of al-fana, to die before you die. And that means that you have completely mastered yourself, mind, mentally, spiritually, and physically, to make yourself a vehicle. And your physical body is nothing but a vehicle through which the divine intelligence of Allah manifests himself through your human person. So when Farad coming up talking about Allah in person, or Elijah Muhammad talking that, and even Allah the Father, who some will call Clarence 13X, him saying that, that's basically, that is in Orthodox Islam. But over there overseas, in the general populace, is mainly groups of Sunnis, Shias, and they don't like that. They don't like Sufi. Sufism is what you would call the esotericism of the Orthodox Islam world. But when you really study into it, what it's teaching actually going hand in hand with what groups like the Moors, or the Nation of Gods and Earths, and the Nation of Islam essentially teach. So, like, it's like it talk about becoming one with Allah in the Moors Quran, Circle 7. It talk about becoming your soul, becoming one with Allah. And that's what it is in that Sufism. Is it certain they got degrees of initiation that you pass through. Even with that Dr. Yaqub stuff, a lot of people say, well, that wasn't nothing but a myth. They just made that Dr. Yaqub up. That's not real. I think I have to, that's not it. They'll say that's not in real Islam. There ain't no such thing as Dr. Yaqub. I got to disagree with that, because I was studying into a man named Rudolf von Schabattendorf, and he was a Rosicrucian from Germany. He was a German nationalist, came along around the same time Adolf Hitler was rising up to power. And this guy, and the Rosicrucians is a German Masonic type secret society, basically, essentially. They really basically predecessors to modern Freemasonry in England. But the Rosicrucians, they study a lot of Egyptology and that Jewish Kabbalah, like I'm talking about, and different esoteric alchemy, you know, and things like that. Well, that man Shabazz went to Turkey and started messing around with some Jewish Kabbalists over there in Turkey, them Khazarian Ashkenazi European Jews with the little locks and all that, bar mitzvah type people. And when he was over there, they sent the Termudi families was silk merchants. And that's like Farad came over here knocking door to door talking about he's selling silks. Okay, well, these Termudi Jews, they're silk merchants over there in Turkey. They took him to some people that was Bektashi Sufis, which is an esoteric group of Islam. And whatever he learned from them, it made him start claiming Islam, but he was claiming it. And it all goes along with like what the Masons are doing. They go from the entered apprentice and rise up to the master Mason. And then they rise up 35 to 50 years of study to the Shriner degree. And they wear the little hats with the little sword above the crescent moon and star and the little Arabic phrases on their little fez hats, their little Muslim tarbouch headdress. Well, that's basically what he was doing, going over there learning from them folks. Well, when he came back to Germany, he started a group he called the Thule Society. Now, the Thule Society basically became the Illuminati for Adolf Hitler's Third Reich. And like they got a bunch of this conspiracy stuff on Netflix right now. And my thing is, they're doing this eugenics in that Thule, out of that Thule Society with that Nazism, and they trying to kill off all the Jews. First, they want to kill off all Jews and really don't care about who. They trying to kill off everything. And you know, a lot of the World War I and World War II and colonialism broke out between the British and the Germans getting into it about colonizing Africa for its resources. But when these Thule Society people and Adolf Hitler and this guy von Shabazz I'm talking about, they got these blonde-haired, blue-eyed Germans come together reproducing and trying to make a perfect blonde-haired, blue-eyed German race. And I mean, that's the same thing as that Dr. Yakub's grafting. And it's like, y'all wasn't talking about doing no type of biological or genetic engineering like that until this man went over there and had contact with this mystery school or secret society of Muslims over there in Turkey, right? Very near the Caucasus Mountains and Russian area. So to me, that's just one aspect where I think that Yakub is a little bit more than a myth. I think that's actually some actual history, but they're not going to put that in no general textbooks over here in America. Like they're not going to put it in no textbooks glorifying Hitler over here in America. They're going to, they're going to whitewash history and they're going to interpret history in these textbooks according to how they want it told and according to what type of general perception that they want to put in the minds of the general populace. But that's just one aspect that proves that Dr. Yakub is a little bit more than some stuff that Farad and Elijah Muhammad just thought up one day out their imagination. I think it's a little bit more than that. And that Tamahu in ancient Egypt too. That's another aspect of that. Is the Tamahu in ancient Egypt, and they was talking about these some blonde-haired, blue-eyed, troublemaking people, and they call them the children of Set. And Set was the evil brother of Osiris. Set's bones was made of iron in Egyptian mythology. If you read up deep enough, and see iron, his bone. Iron goes along with what you would call the Iron Age of civilization. And that in Greek mythology, what Hesiod wrote, which Hesiod was just a Greek philosopher who studied in Egypt at the Egyptian mystery schools. Y'all know, everybody knows the story. That's basic. Like GM James saying that stolen legacy. And what Hesiod was talking about is that there was ages of civilizations of ancient races all the way up to the Iron Age, and that the Iron Age people was a civilization of bloodshed and destruction, mayhem, and evil. Now, set in Zoroastrianism, which they talk about Zoroastrianism in the Quran 22:17, Zoroastrianism is Persian fire worship that comes from Egypt, with the worship of the solar deity of Heliopolis and Thebes, with Osiris and Ra and Amun-Ra. You know what I'm saying? That's why that's okay. Zoroastrianism is the religion of ancient Persia. Persians are some of the people who came down there and invaded Egypt too. Now the Persians are the modern day Iranians, and that's like you got the term Aryan, Iran, Aryan. You know what I'm saying? And that's just one aspect right there of that. And the ancient Persians of Zoroastrian religion believe in a 6,000-year rule of history by the power of evil, which they call Ahura Mazda, which is the same thing as the Egyptian god Set. So that's where that, and like I say, they talk about them in the Quran, Surah 22 or chapter 22, verse 17. And see, that's where the Shiite religion comes from. The Shiites, the main ones who believe in the Mahdi and Islam. So that's where a lot of that stuff that I see Elijah Muhammad, you start breaking down what them, like lesson 2, a lot of God's nerds gonna say, well, that's the meat right there. You know what I'm saying? That's a little catchphrase for that. But it's based on some real history, like what I'm saying. And even Modern Blavatsky, I see a lot of these people on you, they talk about, oh, don't listen to her, she's satanic, whoopty whoop whoop. And I'm trying to tell people, when she talking about the serpents, that's even Albert Pike. When he talking about serpents and Lucifer, the caduceus is like a DNA strand, and that symbol is like a DNA strand. A person like Albert Pike talking about that Luciferian doctrine and talking about Jesus is evil and Lucifer is God, because Albert Pike used a lot of semantics, like I'm telling people. So when he talking about Adonai is the god of evil, Adonai is also a name for a Sumerian deity. And Adonai is a Sumerian Semitic form of Atum. Adonai, Atum Re, or Atum Ra, which is the black god of the Enid, like the black god Osiris. So when he's saying it's a god of evil, he's naturally in semantics making a derogatory racial statement, because he had a hand in founding the KKK. But when he's talking about Lucifer, the serpent, he's talking about DNA. But he switched them degrees up like that in that masonry, because after he paid all that money and climbed to the top of it and seen what he's seen and seen what it was saying and seen the gloriousness of these ancient African civilizations and how this is the real foundations of Freemasonry, obviously it got him, quote unquote, a little butt hurt. So I'm saying, so he came back and switched it up. They even admit he rewrote the Scottish Rite. And I believe that's what he was doing when he was rewriting, them Masonic degrees. I believe that's what he was doing right there. But yeah, that's just how I see it, though.
We're gonna have to have you on again, because you have so much knowledge to share with everyone. I'm gonna have to have you on again. I wish I could go longer with you, but my time is getting cut short because I actually have a radio interview.
I know I got, it's just a lot to say.
No, this is what people
I try
need
to
hear.
simplify it as much as I can.
this is what our people need to hear. They need to learn what you are teaching. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's so many of our people that don't even have no clue about what you're talking about. But with them, what you all listening in to what he has been teaching and giving y'all, feeding y'all all this knowledge, this is something that y'all can use and just go research it and see what he was talking about, because this man has so much in his head, so much in his head. I'm not sure how long he has actually been studying this, and that is a question I will ask him shortly as soon as I bring him back on. But it seems as if he's been studying this for years, because he has so much wisdom right up in here. But like I was saying, I have to go on. I have another interview, but I'm actually being interviewed. Well, I'm actually being introduced to the radio station that I am a part of now. I was just offered basically a contract with a cable network television show, and that streams out to 140 different countries and so forth. So they're going to introduce me to their listeners and so forth today. So I got to get on there and introduce myself to everyone and so forth, before I start my actual show in a couple of weeks with this network. So that's what I have to do after this. And but I really, really do want you on again because I'm interested in what you're teaching. Even though I've heard lots of this before and I've read lots of this before and I've watched so much of this before, but there are things, like I said before, that I don't know that he's teaching. Clearly, that some of y'all don't know that he's been teaching, and it's just good knowledge to have. You know what I mean? Especially when you're just used to one thing, or when your mind's been set on one thing for so long. He's kind of opening up your mind to other avenues and so forth. So, I think something happened to his Wi-Fi, but we're gonna wait for him to come back on so he can properly exit the show and everything. And then from there, I'll just see y'all again on Sunday. On Sunday, I
Yeah.
have on Sunday I have Knowledge Born Allah coming on, and we'll be building on Sunday. So he has a lot to talk about too on Sunday, as far as at-risk youth and so forth in the community. So, but yes, I definitely got to have you on again. Maybe on another Saturday. Around the same
Yeah.
time,
Oh
or
yeah.
Sunday. Either a Sunday or a Saturday. I can have you on again so you can, go further into what you was teaching us and so forth. How
Oh
long?
yeah.
I did ask you how long, or what, no, I didn't ask you how long, but I asked you what brought you on the journey. But how long has it been? How many years have you been studying?
I've been studying about 15 years, all this
I
stuff.
figured.
But like I get into an intense study sometimes on it, but it's like I'll be glad to come back and talk some more, because like I know I can make some money off of it and stuff like that. But I really just like I got other ways. I got so many hustles, you know what I'm saying, legitimate avenues of hustle. I really feel like this is something I don't need to be charged. I really feel like we need to give our people knowledge of self like this, essential knowledge of self for free. You know what I'm saying? I really feel like we're
Mm-hmm.
doing a good thing getting on here talking like this.
Right,
And
right, right.
yeah, I mean, and like if any I'm on, I got a public page on Facebook, and I got a YouTube channel under Shabazz TV, and I'm fixing to try to get on Instagram too pretty soon. So if people interested in what I'm talking about, they can look it up. Like I say, I don't really like I draw and tattoo and stuff like that. So like this right here, I really just do this on the strength because I really feel like I say, I believe that people need to know this. You know what I'm saying? Especially black folks, primarily, they
Mm-hmm.
need to know this type of stuff. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And
right.
I don't feel like I should be making a big doing like a Mason and charging you $500 to come take my degree. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just give it away.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. That's a part of, giving back to the community. So you're doing a good job with that. And you're giving back, and the people who are willing to listen, y'all are doing great too. We had some viewers on Facebook and YouTube, that's been steady tuning in and just listening to what you've been saying and so forth. So I appreciate everyone that tuned in, and we will have him on again. I'm not sure, we'll set it up and I will let you all know when he'll be on again. I'm hoping, like I said, within the next week or so, I can bring him back on so he can continue this conversation, with us all. Because this is great. We really didn't even get too much into. I mean, we got into the culture of Islam for the most part, but we really didn't get too much into, the whole African and indigenous culture today. But we would definitely build more on that the next show that we bring. I mean, the next time we bring him on my show. So
I do got a lot more I want to say about that because a lot of people think it's just they think all that stuff. They think Muhammad. A lot of people get letting them. Man, I don't let them Turkish folks over there. It's like I've been posting videos. I know your husband been seeing that, and I post a lot of videos on my public page. And them people ain't come over there till about 400 years ago. Them light-skinned folks over there, we think is Arabs, they didn't pop up over there until about 400 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Before that, and it's even in GMJ Legacy, he say the same thing, is that land was inhabited by the original Arabs came off the coastlines of what they would call Ethiopia and Eritrea and that little area right there on the other side of Red Sea. Them folks that's over there now, over there till about 400 years ago. But we're going to get into more of that later on, you know what I'm saying? We'll talk about that next time.
Yeah, like I said, either Saturday, Sunday, or see, on Wednesdays, I have this new segment I called it's the Wake Up Wednesdays, when people finally decided to wake up and go after their dreams or pursue their dreams and so forth. But you being a graphic designer, artist, a pencil artist, that is, and a tattoo artist and everything, that's something you can also talk about on Wednesday. You know what I mean? If you want to come on Wednesday, because Wednesdays are really for those who are looking for that motivation, inspiration to pursue their dreams. So hopefully I can just bring you on Wednesday so you can talk about, your art, your artistry, as well as what we were just talking about just now. We can kind of combine it together, for those that missed out and those who want to know more. So Wednesday at 7 p.m. So you just let me know. But we'll talk further. Email, Facebook, inbox. You can hit up Pataz, and you can call him, hit him up. We can set something up. You feel what I'm saying? But it was great having you on. Check him out on 7 Shabazz TV on Facebook and YouTube. He has both that you can find him at. He's constantly doing his thing and spreading his knowledge and doing what he has to do to give back to people when it comes to that. So check him out. And I put again, here is his information right here, scrolling across. So check him out. If you're if you're craving for that knowledge, he got it to feed to you. So, yeah. There you go. There you go. Again, thank you for coming on. I'll see you again soon, hopefully on Wednesday. Wednesday night?
Yeah. Y'all know how to y'all know how to get a hold of me.
Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Let me know.
Excuse me?
Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Let me know. We can get it on.
All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. All right.
Oh,
all
yeah.
right. All right. So we'll have him on again on Wednesday.
All right.
All right, y'all. Wednesday we'll have 7 Shabazz back on again.
Yeah, so make sure I ain't got nothing going on.
All right. And have that camera and
I'm
everything.
babysitting.
Mike. All right. So I'll talk to
Oh
y'all
yeah.
later.
All
I'll talk
right.
to y'all later. And it was great having you on. And tomorrow,
Yeah.
Sunday, 7 p.m. with Knowledge Born Alive. He will be on here building, giving y'all that 5% knowledge that we need. Also talking about like I said, at-risk youth and him being a mentor and an advocate to the at-risk youth. Excuse me, y'all. So I want y'all to tune in and hear about what he has to talk about. You feel me? So I'll see y'all again tomorrow, 7 p.m. on the Scoop of REX. All right? Peace, y'all.
It's the scoop with Spar React. Go out.